Hey everybody, welcome back. Live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Here we are. Can you believe we are closing in on Thanksgiving Day? My goodness, does this... And every year it sneaks up on me. And also something every year I do is I used to always have Coach Stalin of the football team on this week. And of course we lost him last year. He did this show last year and then passed away not long after it, I remember. And I remember thinking, I was like, he was so sharp when I had him in here. I was very sad to hear when he passed away, obviously. And I said, you know what, I want to keep it football. What do I do? How do I find a good football guy that I hadn't? And I got Coach Ed Gaudiano in the house. How are you, Coach? Big familiar face here in Newburyport. How you doing?
I'm good, Drew. Thanks.
Good. You got big plans for Thursday? How do you do it?
Well, the family comes back, and I find time to squeeze out to the game and let it just happen. So
there you go. You always get to the game still.
Yeah, when it's not too cold. So
okay.
Yeah.
I remember actually, I was doing. I don't know if I was working for this station or I was at the game for work purposes for something. Mm-hmm. And that was your last game. Was the game the day they inducted they made the field the
stadium
unveiled
dedication.
And Coach Stalin was there and they pulled the banner off his name and everything. And you didn't. There was another storyline that day.
Right.
You had not told anybody that was going to be your last game coaching Newburyport football.
Correct. I mean, well, everybody around here talks anyway, so I couldn't have told anybody. But I think that the idea was, I didn't want to take anything away from what was going to be going on for Jimmy. So, I just kept it under my hat. And I had known during the season anyways. But, so I thought it would be best just to tell everybody when it was all said and done. We were lucky enough to win the game. And
what a game.
It was a great game. So it was a good way to go out.
Walk me through that day. I'm sure you remember almost every minute of it. Did you tell the guys in the locker room beforehand? Or?
Nope. It was an overtime game, so everybody was jumping up and down. And I mean, I don't even know if I had everybody's attention. So we always got together at the end of the games. When
win or lose, or just win?
Well, no, win or lose. But when we'd win, we'd sing the fight song. So we sang the fight song. And I said, look, guys, just before you go, I wanted to tell you this. I'm sure about this, and this is it. My last last day. So they were kind of
what a way to go out.
Back. Yeah, right. It was a great way to go out.
Was that because it went to overtime? Was that a 2-point conversion that won it, or was it?
Right. It was. Yeah. Well, actually, we got our 2-point conversion on this trick play we had practiced.
Oh yeah.
For like 2 weeks, and then we stuffed Amesbury's 2-point conversion to
defensive victory.
Yeah,
okay.
Defensively.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and down goes Amesbury.
Right.
How was that rivalry for you? Just all those years doing it was. There's no matter what the playoff system was, no matter how they reorchestrate the schedules, MIAA, all that stuff, there will always be something special about Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is this game coming up is the 100th game between Amesbury and Newburyport, and I'm not hearing that anything's being done for it. So, hopefully, the powers to be here will get on it and, just make this thing a big deal because it is.
Well, here we are, Coach.
I know. That's it. That's right. But every year is a big deal. A funny story was, at one point during my career, we had lost to Amesbury 3 times in a row. Oh. So I get the call the Monday after from Jimmy. So Jimmy Stalin, who was the AD at that point, he says, come down to my office, and at the end of the school day. So I go down and I just walk in. He's sitting in his desk and he looks up over his glasses at that point, and he looks at me and says, we don't lose to Amesbury. And I'm waiting for the rest of it, and that's all he said. And so I'm standing there. I don't know what to do, so I just turned around and left.
Oh, man.
So that was pretty funny.
That is priceless.
Yeah, but I got the message.
You thinking you're on the hot seat or something?
Yeah,
my goodness.
No, I know. But, back when I first got here, I don't think I kind of appreciated the intensity of the rivalry, and then once I got into it, I think we kind of took care of business for the most part.
That is too funny.
Yeah.
When you think back, he's on my mind this week because it was our annual thing. He probably did it 5-6 years in a row where he came in here on Thanksgiving. And it got to the point where I would call that. He always had the landline. I'd call the landline at home still. Here his wife would pick up and she would have to go, James, the radio guy's on the phone again. He goes, tell him I'll be there. And so, I mean, that's what we did for these. That's what we do for Thanksgiving. But when you think about him, what comes to mind there? Because you worked for him, you were friends with him, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, just in the football circles, I don't know if there was anyone as respected by him by so many coaches.
Yeah.
You know, and he was a class act, and you know, but at the same time, he let me do my thing, and but he was always a resource for me to go to and ask. And
Did you find yourself doing that a lot?
yeah, I did. And, you know, he'd wander out to practice when, you know, and I think he missed it some when he stopped coaching. So he'd come out to practice and he'd give me tips, and we'd just throw things around. And good football guy, great guy anyways.
Yeah. Every time he came on the show, until, like I said it at the beginning of this show, he would have this like memory that I couldn't get my head around. I mean, I think he 90, right? I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was 90 when he came in here that last show, and he was telling me plays from like 1968.
Right.
Jimmy ran to the left side.
Yeah.
There's a good block by naming people. Like, I'm like, how in the world do you remember that? You know?
Well, he would also come out and kind of do the same thing, saying he would say in 1968 would be standing in the stadium, and he said we threw this pass over here, and he not only knew the play and the person, but where it was in the field, and very sharp. It's very sharp.
Unbelievable. That was a great day too. I remember Newburyport.
Yeah.
That was it's a very beautiful dedication. And then I caught on to, I know you didn't tell me, but somebody had whispered there's not the only storyline.
Oh, really?
Gaudiano is going away. Somebody had given me a little bit of a heads up.
Well, what was it? Mike Lynch was there.
Yes.
And I think
I was sitting with him.
Well,
so.
somebody gave him the heads up. I got a feeling it was Jason Beauplant, one of our assistants. He likes to sing, but anyways. You know, the word was sort of out there, but not really.
Well, I was sitting next to Mike Lynch that day, so that's a good chance that's where we were talking. We probably got it at the same time, but
could have been.
Yeah, and that was always the big Thanksgiving. You knew you were the big Thanksgiving Day game when Mike Lynch was there, right?
Yeah, and get on his show.
Yeah, we hope he's doing well too. He had a tough year health-wise.
Right.
And he's been on the show plenty of times, but I think about him on these Thanksgiving weeks as well. So, big high school football ambassador. You did 30 years teaching in Newburyport too. We were laughing because our producer Maeve here, Maeve Power, you actually taught her
as a freshman.
Yeah. That's right. Was she a good student? Tell us everything.
Oh yeah, she was smart, quiet.
Yeah.
Typical freshman, you know. I think I taught all freshmen at probably the last 20 years.
Yeah.
They just threw all the freshmen at me, so you know, they come in and they was, you know, for the most part they're scared. And
she broke out of her shell. She yells at me all the time.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
We need to get these schedules in order. I'm just kidding. No, she's great. I need somebody like her. It's perfect. But it is. I would think. I mean, maybe you can correct me. It feels to me that 30 years at one place is not done anymore.
No, not at all. You know? I think people move around a lot more. I think. You know, I don't know if it's just teachers and coaches, but it's there's less investment in the school that they get into, and I would say once I was in Newburyport for 10 years, I just knew I was there. I mean, that became home, and I don't know if coaches do that. I mean, a lot of people just look for opportunities. A lot of movement in the teaching profession too. Yeah. That takes teachers out of systems. So
I work at the news station in Boston too, WBZ, and it's been a big story this week about how there's one school, I forget which one it was. It might be Brockton, but it's in the
Globe.
It's the they don't have enough teachers. They're going to the cafeteria because they can't fill a classroom with teachers.
Right.
But the interesting thing about that is it's not just Brockton. Nationwide, they're struggling to hire teachers. Right. And coming out of COVID, they say plays a part of it. Like a lot of teachers said, but it's really, I think it's the issues that were before that of
they got to pay them.
They got to pay these teachers, and and there's a lot of things. So what else is a tough obstacle for teachers right now? It's
I just think it's the nature of the beast. I mean, as when I left, I knew it was time, and there's a lot less teaching and more of the other stuff that you got to deal with.
Like what
like parents for the most part.
Okay.
Administration. I mean, there's a lot of special needs issues going on. That teachers have to deal with. So
you're saying it's just a hard job.
It's a hard job.
Yeah.
And they don't get paid, and they should.
Yeah.
But I think in the long run it'll kind of work itself out. Where my guess is, with us talking today, I have no idea what teaching is going to look like in 10 years.
Yeah. Did you see those big changes even on your time? I mean,
they were getting there.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I think when I left, I was a dinosaur anyways. But the communication, like the computers were in the classroom. We had some sort of directive was if like a parent had sent you an email,
Yeah.
you'd have to get back to them in 24 hours. Here's, I'm
You're coaching
teaching,
football.
I'm coaching, and, I got family life, and I've got a list of emails this long, and, in comes an email, did Johnny do his homework tonight?
Yeah.
And,
Ask Johnny.
yeah, I know. Don't you talk to the kid? So, anyways, just things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a change in profession, and we'll see where it is in 10 years.
That is interesting. Yeah. I mean, I find it to be it's a job that I actually don't think I could do. As much as I think I'm good, I can teach tennis, I think, because I do that.
Yeah.
But I think to myself, sometimes I struggle with big groups. It's just, kids are hard. It's a hard hour to do when a kid's smashing the ball over the fence and like, can you go get the ball, please?
Right.
And it's like, I can see myself getting like that just a little bit in that 1 hour. I can't imagine, 8 hours a day after school activities. Like it's a hard job.
I mean, just you got a pitcher, you got to be on like every 45 minutes.
That's the word, right? You got to be on.
You got to be on. Every 45 minutes, a new crew comes in, and I just think I put on a show. I don't know if they learned anything for me, but
again, joined here by Ed Gaudiano, teacher at Newburyport, coached the football team until 2016. So it was 30 years teaching. How many years football?
just one less. So I mean, I did
20. Wow.
So if I was there 29 years, I think I had 28 football seasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
So those for you, those two things went hand in hand.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I really understood that last year when I didn't coach. I don't think I would have taught at all if I hadn't coached. So
Gotcha.
They definitely go hand in hand.
Do you because I think there is something too. Like I talked to, there are still situations where a coach will come in that's not in the school system.
Yeah.
Maybe has another job, whatever. And some of those coaches are great coaches.
Right.
I do think it makes it easier when you're in the school system, right?
Makes it more effective.
Yeah.
I mean, and just to be able to, work with the administration. I mean, teachers would come to you. I mean, it kind of like the job just ballooned out to be, you were almost like another advisor or a mentor to, whatever, the 40 or 50 kids that are in the program. And dealing with all sorts of things besides, whether or not the kid can play football. So
that's the rewarding part, though, right?
Yeah,
it's
I
like when
think so.
somebody comes to you and like
unless he's a pain in the neck. If they come too often.
Yes, I'm sure there's plenty of that too.
Right.
But like when there's when you earn that trust of somebody who does come up to you and says like I got a real life thing going on or whatever it is, like that's what I think teachers get in it for.
Right.
I think that's what I respect so much about teachers is they tend to care about the kids more than they do themselves.
No, it's true. And it's too bad the trend now is to have coaches not in the building. So, that can be part of the whole hiring process, if you ask me. I mean, when a new young teacher comes in and you want them to get invested in the school, coach something, get involved, with theater or whatever, but just keep them rolling through all the other activities.
Is there a lot of that? Are there, like, what percentage of coaches would you say are actually not in the school system?
I would say a greater percentage now than I was around. But
Really?
I wouldn't know what the numbers are, yeah.
That's interesting, yeah.
So when I was there, we had two guys who came in from the outside, but there were like 6 or 7 of us, either in the middle school or at the high school. Bob Clark. I mean,
oh, yeah.
So both of us.
How's he doing? I haven't seen Bob.
He's good. He's good. He golfs, I don't, so I kind of see him less and less. We went to a retirement party like a couple of weekends ago, so I saw him. Yeah, he's good.
Nice.
He's
good.
enjoying
Tell him I
retirement.
said hello.
I will.
He may have a whole different in-work personality, but I always thought to myself, he is the most low-key athletic director I have ever met and I met all of them at that time. I knew all of them in the Cape Ann League, certainly, because I was doing the hockey games,
right?
Calling for the station downtown at the time.
Yeah.
And he was just like the most low-key guy to work with. He'd do anything for you.
That's him. Yeah, no, that's him.
No. I was like, wow, you have a good way of staying balanced, my friend.
Right.
I haven't met any athletic director like that.
No, he's definitely low-key is a good word for it.
It's a good word.
Yeah.
But he was efficient, though, man.
He was good. He was a great football coach, too.
Yeah.
And he still coaches baseball. So for the time he was at Newburyport, he coached baseball at Tufts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. There's a lot of actually storylines coming up on this Thanksgiving. I do. What do you do actually for the? Do you watch football all evening?
Yeah, pretty much after I wake up from my turkey-induced nap.
Everybody says that. Everybody puts in the nap.
Yeah, so it's true. It's true. So I'll go. I mean, I'll go to the game this year for sure. I mean, I think Newburyport has a great chance to knock these guys off. I mean, they're
you
both
don't lose to Amesbury. That's what I've heard.
No, you don't. I don't know if anybody listens to me anymore, but yeah, I mean, sit around with the family afterwards, and
A lot of people coming in, or
well, I have everybody in the morning actually. So one of my sons works, so he's going to have to take off early. So we'll wake up, do breakfast, do an early turkey dinner, and he'll be gone. And then
what does he do for Thanksgiving work? I'm always curious.
He's a nurse. He's an operating room nurse. So he's.
Well, thank you for your service. There.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
as a guy who worked in radio. That's what you do all those early years.
Yeah, I know.
It's good.
I
So
know.
you work Thanksgiving. Actually, it's funny the things you remember. Like, I remember like the if you ever wonder why the Kowloon seems to get a lot of people shouting them out on the on the radio or whatever. It's because they are one of the places that, like, on the holidays, they would just deliver Chinese food back in the day, and because they were open and they knew who worked and who didn't, and they would just say Happy Thanksgiving and drop stuff off. So radio people it would be a mutual benefit, because the radio people would be there going, these are delicious from from Kowloon, and they would say free advertisement, and everybody was happy to be fed. It was like that kind of, but that's why the radio Kowloon thing is there so often, which I always think is a funny story to tell. But I think about those sorts of things on Thanksgiving. Another storyline actually from Newburyport this year. I think this is public knowledge. I hope I'm not jumping the gun. If I get yelled at and we have to, Richie can yell at me later. I believe this is going to be Richie Eaton's last game calling the play-by-play.
I just
up there.
heard.
You did?
I just heard out there. So
okay.
Word's out. Yeah,
Word
and I
is
didn't
out.
know that. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of like the end of an era itself.
It is, right?
Yeah, and I haven't seen him in a while. So, God bless him. I mean, he was with us all the time, and we had a tradition of, not a tradition, but after we'd play Friday night games, the coaching staff would go out.
Yep.
And he'd show up a few times, and over the course of the season.
Would you guys do the park lunch? I knew that was the hockey place.
Yeah, park lunches. We like to get away, so we
too close.
Too close.
Too close to home. That's hilarious.
So we I mean, we just had to get the game out of our system.
You're right. Yeah.
So where do we go? Bunch of places.
Just not Newburyport.
Not Newburyport. No.
That is too funny. Get away from any critics or any.
Yeah.
Hey, coach, you could have went for it on 4th and 2 there.
Exactly.
Who plays field position at that point?
Yeah. Or worse than that, they wouldn't be talking about field position.
I mean, we mentioned parents in the teaching room. Did you ever have any? I actually know the answer to this, because almost every coach I talk to has had issues or whatever you want to talk. Parents are crazy. They get so invested.
Yeah.
It's like very normal people that just kind of lose themselves when it comes to their kids and sports. And is there any story, you don't have to drop any names, but is there any one that you were kind of like, my goodness, we got to check ourselves here?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I knew it was. Yeah.
There's got to be some, one year we weren't that good, and there was this one parent who was in my ear constantly.
Yeah.
Probably had a little bit too much tea at the park lunch before he came to the game. So we lost the game, and I'm trying to get from our sideline into the high school. All of a sudden, he's on my shoulder, and he's just going at it just with the mouth. And I turned to him, and he turned to me, and I think at some point they, we just somehow we separated out. But one of those things. But,
oh man, following the coach into the locker room. Yeah, that seems a little much.
The great one was, and again, the story of Amesbury beating Newburyport 99-0.
Yes.
So, back in the 90s, we were very good, and a lot of times we'd play the games, and against Amesbury, we could have the JVs in the third quarter. So, we played the game, and it was, a lot to a little, we win. And I was going into the tunnel just at the end of it, and I look up at the top of the tunnel, and there's this little old lady leaning over the fence, yelling down at me, and all she's screaming is, "Why didn't I score 100 points?" I mean, that whole thing about losing to Amesbury 99-0.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still out. The old timers are still out for blood on that one. So I heard that a few times, and
I remember
it's an emotional game. Let's put it that way.
Certainly.
You got to take everything with a grain of salt.
I mean, Coach Stalin talks about that almost every time we got together. He would mention it, and because I think he felt that pressure too. Some of his teams were powerhouses, right? And he could have ran it up, and he made sure not to.
Right.
And he said, we're just not going to do that here.
Yeah.
That's not our culture. And that's, I don't know, he always took a pride in that, I think. So
Yeah, yeah.
that obviously rubbed down.
Yeah, well.
No 100 points on the board. That is funny. Did you ever hear the Mike Lynch story on here where he kicked the ball through the...
through the woman's window.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was Swampscott, right? Yeah.
Swampscott, yeah. And his dad was the... I'm from Danvers. His dad was actually the AD at Danvers for many years.
Right.
And then he's a big North Shore name, of course. And but yeah, he's a lot of ties up here.
Yeah.
That obviously wasn't a Thanksgiving Day, but I think that was a big game for some reason where he kicked it through. I don't know.
He always liked coming up to the stadium. So
yeah. Well, I guess the story goes he wrote a letter, I guess, to Coach Staley.
Yes. Yeah.
And apologized.
Yeah,
it was the other guys bet me in the huddle, and I had to try. And that was the whole deal. But man, Thanksgiving football. Do you remember those? Was that a day? I bet the first Thanksgiving you probably missed, right? Was there part of the football game that you woke up and said, "No, there's no football game to coach on Thanksgiving"? Is that a weird feeling?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
or were you like, I get to sleep in?
Or said, where am I going to get my ticket? But the guys who are the coaches up there now have been good. So when we're at home, the best seat in the house is up in that science wing of where the new building is. So I would just walk around the stadium and say hi to people, and just that, especially at first when I watched the game from up in the science wing, and it's a great view, and I just thought to myself, maybe I do miss this. But.
Yeah. Do you feel that because you're watching that first game, you're watching kids that you had the year before?
Yeah.
Do you feel that kind of? I mean, you have to feel that connection to them. Like, I remember practicing with these, and we worked on that last year. It's probably still connected to that team, and in that weird way.
And that lasted for 3 years, but now everybody's gone. I mean, these guys, I don't know at all, with the exception of, I guess, one of Newburyport's best players. This is how old I am. Running back named Jack Sullivan. Mm-hmm. So Jack Sullivan is the son of Scott Sullivan, who was a stud for us back in our 1993 season. So there you go. His father was a Super Bowl guy. And Scott's father, Danny, coached with us as well. So there's a connection there.
There's a lot of that here.
Yeah,
there is a lot of family. I remember there was one year calling hockey where I think who was it? I have to just go back into my hockey mode for a second. There was one name that kept coming up. Not Kelleher. There was a Kelleher. I'll come up with it by the time the show's over.
No, we had that.
Great people. I'm just having a mind blank. But yeah, that's like three. There was brothers, and then there were cousins,
right.
It's
like Appalachia.
I know, right?
Yeah,
it's fun. But
and we had the same thing. I mean, they're just football names like the Lads, the Bashaws, the Hales.
Yeah. Brennan, the Brennans.
Oh, yeah.
Hello to the Brennans. Hope you're all doing well.
So the Brennans actually have a kid playing.
Of course they do.
Now, yeah.
A footballer.
Yeah, I think he's in the backfield with Jack Sullivan.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't got a chance to do. I might try to get. Things. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to get to the Thanksgiving. It's just as you get older, it gets just busy. There's a million things to do.
I'm gonna look at the temperature.
Yeah, it's true too.
I don't do cold weather anymore.
When that sun started going down at 4:30, that's a tough day for me.
It is. Yeah.
When we roll those clocks back, I like the extra hour of sleep, but man, that's 4:30 is a tough time to get dark. I don't know. So again, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We got Coach Ed Gaudiano here bringing us in for our Thanksgiving show. Maeve Power, Sarah Hayden. Ryan Rothberg, Maya Gassman, our small but mighty team here in Newburyport. We're grateful for you here on this Thanksgiving week. Thank you guys for all you do. I guess when you think back to your favorite Thanksgiving tradition, what would it be? Let's end on some fun Thanksgiving notes. What's the favorite part of the day?
Food-wise?
Yeah, well, I guess that answers that question. It's food. Okay. yeah. What's your
That's
favorite
never
food?
far from my mind.
We'll go with favorite food.
I don't know. I like having a little Bailey's after the dinner.
There you go.
That kind of brings on the Thanksgiving Day nap.
Yep. Some of the answers this week, I don't think I've actually gotten food. I've gotten a lot of fun drinks. I've got like cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
Nobody knew.
Another good thing that happens up here is the Wednesday night after the team practices.
Yeah.
The coaches go out. To Sylvan Street and just kind of end the season, but a lot of the alums come back to say hi.
Then alums are around that week, aren't they?
Yeah. So they'll know like the whole coaching staff there, and I'll go over to say it just to say hello to the guys. But it's good to see all the the kids come back, and
they all still hang out in the end zone at these games.
A lot of them do. Yeah,
I walked back there one day. I couldn't believe it. They were like in a fun way. There were like side wagers going on,
Right.
and like Amesbury guys, Newburyport.
Yeah.
I was like, man, there's some
it's
there's some bad blood down here.
That's good, though. I mean,
In an adult
it's good
way,
bad
but-
blood, right? Now I think they go, the patio part of the stadium.
Right.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
there's a lot of hanging out going
Cool.
there.
Yeah, but that was a walkthrough. If you wanted some sound bites, you could
yeah.
walk down there. And I mean, you probably remember. You guys bring in speakers for those games, talk to the kids. It was some of the alums.
Yeah, actually, Ben brings in speakers all the time.
Does he? Yeah.
Every week. I'm pretty sure. I don't want to go off here, but he'll get like former players and coaches to come in.
Cool.
And give the team a talk before the game. And
Coach Ben Smolsky, you got a good relationship with him?
oh yeah. He played for me. He coached with us, so he'll call me every week, probably every other week, and we'll chew
Yeah.
the fat. And he sends me the films of the games, so
Yep.
I can see what they're doing. But it's good.
I had talked with him. He actually genuinely tried to jump on here for the. But I mean, as we approach
Yeah, he's
Thanksgiving,
probably-
he's just a bit. I mean, he's doing the teaching thing.
Yeah.
And like you were talking about earlier, it's I don't even know if I can leave this place. Like I'm so swamped right now, and
Yeah.
then I got practice. It's
And he's got a tournament game. I mean,
yeah.
they've advanced
Yeah, that's
at least 1 week. I mean, they're playing Foxborough.
Yep.
Could be a tough one, but I think they're good.
So who you got? You got to make your prediction. Amesbury or Newburyport?
I think it's Newburyport. I'm pretty sure Amesbury may have won the past couple of years, and they've been a powerhouse, but it's two totally different style of football. I mean, Amesbury will line up and just kind of smash at you, and
Yeah.
like old school stuff, and Newburyport is more modern aged football.
Yeah. It's good for the rivalry when they're both good, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
know you love beating up on them, but
Yeah,
it's,
no.
it is. There's something about it when there's competitive games. Like
Right,
that your final game. There's nothing better than that sort of game on
No, it's
Thanksgiving.
just, and it just makes for great memories too.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really have to embellish much if you win a game in overtime on Thanksgiving.
Right.
If you win 40-0, you got to make up some stories.
Yeah. The Amesbury. What is it like when you lose that game? Does it ruin your day?
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Yeah.
Like, is there a point of day? Is it like the second NFL game of the day where you say, "All right, let's move on and enjoy the rest of the day"? Is there?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a long off season, so I mean,
Yeah.
I think you want to get into that with a good taste in your mouth, and
Yeah.
yeah, it does ruin your day.
It bothered you all day.
Yeah, it bothered me more than all day. So
Think about that, Newburyport kids. As you
Yeah.
take the field Thursday, it ruins the coach's Thanksgiving if you don't get a win.
And I've been told that too. If I'm sitting there, and after every Thanksgiving Day game that we won, there's the Chase Trophy, which is just
Yeah.
a big like bronze football.
Yeah.
And my family would all know we won because I'd come walking in the door with the big trophy.
Yeah.
They knew I wouldn't be a bear at dinner. So.
You get a big applause when you come
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
thing. Yeah, there you go. That's a beautiful thing. So very cool. Well, Coach, this was great to have you in. I know Coach Smolsky told he actually, when he was telling me, it's like, I just don't think I'll be able to do it. You know what? Get Coach Gaudiano on. He'll be a great one for you. And I said, oh, that sounds like a great one. And I know we were missing, of course, not having James Stalin on the show here. And he's been in the station's thought this week, because it's kind of those sorts of things hit home when you're used to doing something every holiday, and he's not here. So, but this was great to have you in and share some Thanksgiving memories and football memories and coaching memories.
Yep.
And anybody you want to say Happy Thanksgiving to?
Just all the Clippers out there. Make sure you get to the game, and
There you go.
we've got the evil umpire we've got to beat. So
Do you guys actually call him that?
yeah, I always did.
Is that right? That's too funny. Coach, happy Thanksgiving, man. Thanks for
Thanks,
doing
Drew.
it. All right.
Okay.
Live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Happy Thanksgiving week. Here we go. All right. Stay safe, everybody. Talk to you soon.